Hello everyone and welcome to our video about the Bauhaus. I'm Shreya.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Zara.
We have a lot to cover today. However, before we begin, Shreya, could you give us a little bit of information about the Bauhaus?
The Bauhaus was a groundbreaking art design school that was founded in 1990 in Weimar, Germany by Walter Gropius. The primary purpose of the Bauhaus was to improve living conditions through modern design. Fun fact, Bauhaus means building house in German.
Wow, the Bauhaus certainly sounds very predominant in influencing the modern architectural world. I wonder if there are any pieces they produce that we would see in our everyday life. Let's find out from this video. Hi there, do you have a minute for an interview?
Sure, of course.
I would like to know if there are any easily recognizable innovations that came from the Bauhaus.
Of course. The Bauhaus came up with so many innovations. Let's take a look at the famous Vasily chair by Marcel Breuer. It may not look it, but at the time it was truly innovative, considering the average chair before the Bauhaus movement had very elaborate designs. These heavy and intricate wooden chairs were meant to be aesthetically pleasing, not to mention expensive. Whereas in comparison, the Vasily chair used considerably cheaper materials and processes. Breuer actually took inspiration from a bicycle, which is made from the same tubular metallic material. This also reflects the shift towards a more industrial world.
Wow, that's really interesting. I never knew such a simple chair was an innovation of the Bauhaus. They must have produced so many more interesting things.
That's correct. The Bauhaus not only produced material things, they were also pioneers in their innovative ways of thinking.
Really? What was innovative about their thinking?
Well, within the school, they brought together artists, architects, designers, and craftsmen to solve problems and innovate together.
I can see how having everyone in the Bauhaus working together would benefit their innovations.
Certainly, and it wasn't just in the Bauhaus. Not only did they collaborate across professions, they also collaborated sectors outside of the Bauhaus, including policymakers and institutions. Having such direct access to commercializing ideas from concepts meant that they could produce their products at a phenomenal scale.
That's what I call teamwork.
Definitely, the Bauhaus really set the standard for what we call modern architecture. This would be functional, rational, and socially minded designs that avoided unnecessary decoration. It focused on clarity, open layout, and displaying materials in its natural form.
And did those ideas lead anywhere?
It certainly did. It evolved into the international style, which became one of the most popular architectural movements at the time.
And what about their design styles?
It's kept simple and geometric, such as clean lines, basic shapes like rectangles, circles, and squares, which all serve a practical purpose.
Was sustainability included?
Sustainability was a huge factor. Materials were used efficiently, waste was minimized, and technology was embraced. That legacy is still alive in projects like the New European Bauhaus, who continues to enhance sustainable designs.
Wow, thank you for that. I also heard the Bauhaus introduced new materials. Is that correct?
That is correct. The Bauhaus really changed their buildings by integrating new materials such as steel, glass, and reinforced concrete. They They moved away from traditional wooden frames to create functional, affordable, and minimal designs.
I see. So what role did steel play in the Bauhaus design?
Steel was heavily used. It gave buildings strength and flexibility and allowed for flexible designs. For example, steel tubes made it possible to mass produce the Beasley chair.
Wow, that was so cool and interesting.
Zara, I heard that the origins of modern design education were traced back to the Bauhaus. Was Bauhaus really that influential in education?
Absolutely. Prior to the Bauhaus, art and craft were treated as entirely separate topics. Art was treated as purely academic, whereas craft was seen as a practical and functional work. The Bauhaus merged these two into a unified method of teaching.
So they basically broke down the barrier between art and practical craftsmanship?
Exactly. The Bauhaus believed that a designer should understand both the conceptual and practical aspect of their work. This practice laid the foundation for what we now recognize as modern design architecture. One of the most significant contributions of the Bauhaus was its commitment to interdisciplinary collaboration.
So, how did that work in practice?
Instead of training students in only one medium, the Bauhaus encouraged their students to explore multiple disciplines such as art, design, craft, and technology, so they could understand the relationship between the creative fields. This philosophy is still evident in design schools, where classes often combine areas such as architecture, engineering, digital media, and even business.
So, in many ways, Bauhaus redesigned the entire structure of design education.
That's right. Even though the school closed in 1933, its philosophy continues to shape how design is taught across the world. It's the reason why so many design programs today are hands-on, collaborative, and connected to problem solving.
I was also looking at some old typography the other day, and it was so fancy I couldn't even read it.
Yeah, that's because before the Bauhaus, the typefaces were all serif heavy and heavily rooted in classical style. Back then, they cared more about decoration than clarity.
So, the Bauhaus changed all of that?
Definitely. For example, designers like Herbert Bayer, who designed the word universal type, aimed to create a simplified alphabet purely for functional use with its lowercase sans serif and no capital letters. The main goal was to make typography clearer and easier to read as possible.
So what about the layout styles for graphic design?
The Bauhaus moved away from centered symmetrical designs to a more unique layouts like asymmetry, modular grids, and dynamic alignment. Its grid system even influenced Swiss design. They also used bold colors, overlapped text, and images, which was a revolutionary technique used at that time and still is an impact in graphic design today.
That's so cool and interesting. Thank you.
Wow, I learned so much from that video. It really opened my eyes to the innovations of the Bauhaus. We all learned something. We hope you guys did too. See you next time.